G'day.
Hello there.
I'm Aussierobbo.
I'm English Jen.
And welcome to another episode where we look at and evaluate our opinions on WandaVision.
Yeah, so it's had, 8 weeks now of episodes, and it's been kind of different lengths, and we're now on the finale, episode 9. No secret episode, apparently, but it is going to be a slightly longer one, so we're trying to get that in before Mr. Here starts work. Yeah. Come through! Wizard of Oz. I really hope he dies.
Oh, the final episode. What did you think?
I really enjoyed it. It was fantastic. I did tear up a bit, and it kind of had those moments that you want from all Marvel films and productions, which just has the impact. It's not going to please every fanboy, but that's not what they're here to do. So a lot of theories, including my theories, have gone out the window, but haven't been completely written off. You're coming back in, hit the ground running, really. It was all action, Incredibles family kind of fighting for their lives in their town, and I really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of action going on, so it was really good in that respect. I enjoyed a lot of the effects. Maybe my expectations of the build-up of things that I thought might happen weren't met. There was certainly a lot of hinting towards more big baddies coming, and Paul Bettany with his comment didn't really help about that, but we'll talk about that later, I guess.
Well, we can talk about it now. Paul Bettany is the biggest troll in the Marvel Universe. He had us all along. So very early on, for those who don't know, he did interviews earlier on where he suggested he was going to get to play against somebody he's always wanted to play against.
Act with,
yeah. And nobody really ever thought about it until that last episode where it was like, it's himself. So, he did really clever...
When the White Vision appeared at the end, people started to think maybe it actually is himself.
And sure enough, that was it. But again, it didn't bother me. I actually thought it was quite clever. I actually think the whole series played the audience like a harp. I think it kind of went, what is it about Marvel films and products that make people talk? And it's always about theories and what's going to happen. The whole build-up to Endgame was years and years of theories. And this is what they've done in one little sort of mini-series. And I think it's just perfect in that respect. But the actions, you're going straight into that Incredibles fight at the start. Come on, Wanda throwing a car on the Wicked Witch. so Agatha
she's done that multiple times before in other films.
Yeah, so she's done that. Obviously, that's a bit of a callback to when she does it with a whole car park on top of Iron Man in Civil War. But also, there's this lovely shot. It really filled me with joy. The zoom in of the car wreckage and seeing the two boots sticking out like the Wicked Witch of the West in Wizard of Oz. This series has been so much about little nods to other things, other pop culture references. It's just beautiful. It seems to be handled with love. But also, just seeing Wanda flying, like doing full flight, not just hovering, but just doing like the full kind of like superhero stuff is just gave me glee. So one of the things that I would say has been picking at people's brains is all the little references. So there's the devil's in the details. And so people thought that everybody was Mephisto or everybody was Nightmare or all these different...
The big theory was that Mephisto would come in somehow.
And I still think that is going to be the case further down the line. I think there's going to be some kind of demon, devil kind of action going on. For those who don't know, this is going to lead on directly into Doctor Strange 2. I had theories about different characters who were in the town. Who was the witness protection person and what was the whole significance of the mailman. I think they just kind of disposed of that, sadly. It might mean something further down the line in reference. They'll be picked up on videos to come years down the line from now when other movies have come out. But possibly the postman was a witness protection, hence the don't shoot the messenger. references constantly.
Or maybe it's just nothing at all.
Or maybe it was nothing at all.
But
again, it was fun. That was made it fun. It was like it got people's brains going, and when we're all at home, I think that's what we all need. We need a little bit of spark and imagination, and it did that for me. In regards to Quicksilver, what are your overall, in regards to the way they've handled the Quicksilver storyline?
I didn't really have any expectations with Quicksilver because I just didn't think that they would bring him in from the X-Men universe. So as much as he appeared in there and I knew, he was coming, I didn't have any expectations about him doing anything further. So
I was the same. A lot of people are very, very disappointed that he isn't going to be Quicksilver and he is just Ralph Boner. Which again, second time, it wasn't until I watched the second time that I realised Ralph was the man indoors Agatha was always referencing to. So for me, that worked. And him playing this kind of goofy kind of stoner, lended itself to what he plays really well, which are these kooky characters. I don't necessarily want them to marry the Fox franchise into MCU.
No, I don't think it will now, especially with that not panning out. There's little reason why they would do it elsewhere. So
they messed around with it so much before we even got it. It's kind of all over the place.
The fact that they're keeping so much distance between these films and the previous mutant films, I think, is that the fact that they're trying to distance themselves from those storylines and those actors, and I don't think they'll bring anything over, to be honest.
So we've got confirmation that it's the Darkhold book, which has huge implications for anybody who's read the comics or even watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is now not canon. That's got like ramifications further down the line, same as the Infinity Gauntlet or the Infinity Stones had with the original like 20 odd films. So there's potential for that to go elsewhere, especially with Doctor Strange and the whole mystical side of the MCU. So I'm personally excited by that because that touches on so many different characters that we haven't even been introduced yet.
I've never heard of this book, so I'd never heard of anything about it, and it's never really something I've seen in the mutant world. Maybe Illyana Magic, there was something to do with her, but it's not something I've ever really noticed, or it's never been a big storyline that's come up with me, so it didn't really have much significance to me apart from this TV show.
On the back of that, you've also got the throwaway line, which is basically saying that Wanda is now stronger than the Sorcerer Supreme, who is Doctor Strange. Again, potential there to be huge.
But I think...
And she's learning the Darkhold. So.
The big thing about Doctor Strange is I think that he's so smart that he'll outsmart her even if she is more powerful, the same way that he did at the end of his film when he outsmarted Dormammu.
Dormammu, yeah. It was also great to see Monica sort of combine her powers crossed with her own human skills when she's with Quicksilver / Ralph.
I actually thought we would see more from her by the end of the show in terms of her powers and abilities, but I guess they want to explore that further on down the line. She's going to be back in films, but I really liked her as an actress throughout the whole series, and I really enjoyed her performance, so I'm looking forward to seeing more of her in future films, definitely.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely, by the end of the episode you realise that there's a huge future for her. Again, nods with the background characters. Agent Woo's been really, really popular. I'd like to have had more Agent Woo and Darcy. That would have been nice to have a bit more of that combo.
I would like to see both of them back in the Marvel Universe in the future, so hopefully they will come back for future shows or future films. Doesn't have to be the same kind of thing, but yeah, I definitely want to see them back, consistently coming through.
You noticed the reference to Ant-Man being made by Agent Woo, the flourish.
I didn't notice the flourish, I just noticed that he's escaping from handcuffs, and it was all about Ant-Man escaping and Ant-Man doing magic tricks, so it's the whole escapism.
Yeah, he wanted to learn off Ant-Man in the first two films about how to do sleight of hand and stuff.
Yeah, so it's all about magic tricks.
That was kind of a cheeky little nod, but he's been great in it. He's been so good.
Yeah.
Same with Darcy as well. They've really carried... I'm so glad they brought her back into the sort of whole movies and TV. Fingers crossed she'll get more, because I think she comes across really well in the episodes that they've written.
Yeah.
And she's always my favourite in Thor. Of course, the reveal, the costume, the Scarlet Witch, in the middle of the battle.
Yeah.
Typical gay man, first thing I concentrated on was the hair. All I thought was, they've over teased that hair a little bit. The costume was amazing. Just seeing that transformation thing made me kind of goosebumps.
Yeah, her hair has always been voluminous in the comics, so I wonder if they were trying to get that volume by doing that hairstyle.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, I'll need to check it and maybe put a photo in, Andy Park, who I follow, who's a Marvel artist, I'm sure he's drawn her in that kind of costume before in past years, so it wasn't a huge surprise to see the costume in that form, but maybe I'll have to double check that. But
it was nice that they went away from the Jean Grey X-Men 3 coat look.
Yeah, I feel like it's good to have her in a final definite costume as opposed to
the wimple.
A definite costume as opposed to normal type clothing that's just been adapted into it.
Yeah, and also for those who've been following the promos and stuff, the costume was actually shown in part all along from the very beginning in the posters.
Yeah, on
the TV screens you get to see little windows of what. So again, they're trolling us. And then I thought it was one of those things where the reveal of Agatha not being able to use her magic, I was like, oh! I didn't see it. For me, I personally didn't see it coming, and it was just that I thought that was kind of...
No, I didn't see it coming either. There was someone who said that they saw the reference at the beginning of the episode where they do the flashbacks
previously
about the previous, and then they showed Agatha doing that spell on a previous episode, but I wasn't paying attention to that, so I didn't see it coming in the episode later on, and I thought it was quite a good twist.
We very rarely do pay attention to the intros. We just literally,
Yeah, in previous shows where I have seen, they show flashbacks, something's going to connect in that world. But this, when we got it first thing in the morning, so I was half asleep when that started playing, so.
And then you've got Agatha as a whole. She's been an amazing character. Catherine Hahn, when we found out she was being cast, I got immediately excited. I didn't care who she played because I know that she brings a lot to whatever role she does. Comedic, she's perfect, but also she was really good at the campy villainess. By the end, she's not kind of a villain, really.
Well, I was hoping to see more of her in the Doctor Strange film, but I guess we might not see that now.
I, on the other hand, think we may. Because she essentially, the whole bit where she makes Agatha go back to being the nosy neighbour comedy bit, it's like a prison for her. She's keeping her in place for the moment.
I think they'll bring her back in future, films or TV shows. She's going to be, but I don't think it's going to be really soon, anytime soon.
No. And then you've also got the storyline with Vision versus Vision, and it got really deep and philosophical, which was the whole Theseus ship analogy. Yeah. Beautiful, but also just Paul Bettany's played it really well all the way through because he could easily do it robotically, and he's brought so much life to the character.
I did enjoy his performance as both Visions, and I did like the White Vision, the look of it, the effects. I was kind of disappointed that his eyes changed halfway through the episode when he got the information downloaded into his head, and then of course he disappeared at the end, and we didn't see where he went. So. No, I didn't notice where he went or disappeared.
He literally flew off. I think
so. I'm hoping we do see more of him in the future.
Yeah, I think this is it. We've had the love story. We've had the sort of sorrow of losing that love, and now it's about them both going in very different directions to find out who they are.
Because in essence, the whole TV show, while it's called WandaVision, so a lot of people keep talking about Wanda, but Vision is the whole structure and the through line of why people are going to that town in the first place, because the Vision's been stolen.
He's the trigger.
Yeah,
he's the trigger for everything. The bad guy, I would say, well, no, he was bad, but he'd got intentions, was Head of Sword, and he got his comeuppance. He tried to shoot 10-year-olds. Regardless of whether you know where they've come from, whether they're made up or not. Someone who goes automatically to a gun to shoot 2 10-year-olds in the middle of a town is kind of a bit like unhinged. So, but he might come back. You never know. They might.
I'd like to see him back.
Yeah, I know. He is kind of hot. But there could be potential for him to be a Skrull. Secret Invasion is coming, so who knows if he was undercover as a Skrull all along, trying to stir up trouble. What he did to Wanda was dirty. That was dirty. Like making out that she stole Vision's body when she didn't, and he played it really well. For a smaller character, he played it really well and made an impact.
He was very good in that role, yes.
Yeah.
So the final reveal at the end.
Yeah, in the theatre. First end of credits, and we've got Monica / Photon, hopefully, and she walks down to the front, and sure enough, the agent that takes her down is a Skrull. Well, we'd already suspected that there were Skrull. They've mentioned Skrulls in the background on like the writing boards and stuff in the past few episodes. Yeah. And she's got a connection with Skrulls because of Captain Marvel 2. She made friends with a Skrull when she was a child. And she's going to be in Captain Marvel 2. She's going to be in Secret Invasion. So she's got to make that connection. I think she's the connection between those three things.
Right. Yeah. I'm looking forward to hopefully the Marvel Universe going more into space, which I heard, didn't someone mention a while ago that the direction is going more into space? I guess the Guardians of the Galaxy are headed back into space. And hopefully with Samuel L. Jackson,
he's up there.
So hopefully more of that will come back into. I guess Captain Marvel will take place in space as opposed to on Earth, maybe.
Yeah, there's obviously issues between Monica and Captain Marvel, so that's going to lead on to that. We're going to get to see more of her character there. So I think that I'd love to have seen more of Monica because she's always been one of my favourite characters in the MCU. Not the MCU, in the comics. But let's hold back a bit. I don't think they need to spend it all at the same time. They can.
Well, that's what they did, I think.
They can afford to. And I think because of COVID and the fact we've all been held back from having 3 products from Marvel every year, it kind of helped it. It's actually made people more hungry for the product itself.
Right.
So we've got an actual end of credits, which is, 20-minute credits each episode. We've got a cut to a mountainous region, which can, for me, could possibly... I was saying, like, Nordic, and I was going down the road of Asgard kind of things, which I should gone somewhere to, like, Asgard, the new Asgard, to meditate. But no, I think it's more of a wink back to the Wundagore Mountain that in the comics she was originally created in. Worth looking at. It's actually a really interesting story. Completely different origin story for her. So that was quite a nice little nod if it was. And then we cut to her having a nice cup of tea or coffee on the veranda, on the decking.
Right.
What did you make of that final sequence?
Agnes mentioned that she was going to become evil at some point, or that
her destiny was to destroy the world.
Yeah, to destroy the world. So I think her looking in that book is somehow tied to that happening, which might happen in Doctor Strange 3 maybe, who knows?
Yeah, so you'll see 2 versions of her. Basically one's an astral projection of her. So like Doctor Strange, she can split, but she's already become more, whereas Doctor Strange has to meditate, close his eyes, then go off. With Wanda, she's been able to essentially split her personality in 2 and multitask like any good woman can. So she's reading through the Darkhold. So she's learning it all. She's doing the speed reading. It's like, great. And the whole hand movement thing. And again, there's potential for her to go next level. And then you hear her kids shouting out. I especially heard Billy shouting out, who becomes Wiccan. So all is not lost in regards to the kids.
I think with all the other shows, they're setting up a Young Avengers at some point in the future.
Yeah, Young Avengers are one of my favourites, and it can't come quick enough for me. But also, this is going to lead on to Doctor Strange 2, I think. This is going to be the catalyst for Doctor Strange 2. I'm pretty sure of it. Now that we know that she's definitely in Doctor Strange 2, and this is the path she's leading. Is she going to be a good guy or a bad guy? Is she going to be villainess?
Is anyone like fully good or bad? Is it like,
exactly?
You know, are there reasons behind why they're doing something, so they're not, an neutral. Evil bad guy, or
So
and actually, Scarlet Witch, when she was first in the comics, was a villain. She was part of Magneto's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Yeah, so it does kind of tie back into her origin, I guess you could say.
She plays both really well. So I think Elizabeth Olsen is definitely in the right place, and I'm so glad she's given it her all.
And she'll be in there for the long time.
Yeah, I'd like to see. I don't want them to be a villain and then be squashed and got rid of. I'd like her to be a continuation in the MCU. But yeah, I really loved it. It has more questions than answers, But that's sometimes good. Sometimes you don't need all the answers to make a good story and to continue the story on beyond that one particular show. And I'm really excited for it.
Yeah.
So let us know what your thoughts are down below. Also, we're on Twitter and Instagram, so you can share your thoughts there as well. Have you got any theories? Have you got any kind of questions that definitely weren't answered, or things you'd like to happen in the future of the MCU? Let us know down below. We want to know. And thanks for watching us babble and spill our thoughts. And yeah, see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye-bye. Groundhog Day.